Hi scientists! It is day 2 for White Before Your Eyes. You need to take out your lab sheets from yesterday if you have not done so already. So press pause to do this, press play to begin. So yesterday you made your 12 circles and you combined all of the powders with all of the liquids. Then you went in and you filled in your observation data table. So you should have what they look like unmixed and then mixed, and hopefully you have things that are very descriptive. So before we get started on actually figuring out if these were physical or chemical changes, and if they were a physical one, which one, and if they were a chemical one, which one, we need to fill in our review. So if you look at this sheet, the review says use the word bank to fill in the tree map to review your physical and chemical properties and changes. So we filled in a tree map about our states of matter, and this is very similar. So overall we have the big idea is matter. Then we know that matter can go through chemical changes, which are related to our chemical properties. Matter can go through physical changes, which is related to our physical properties. And you have all the right number of boxes. So your word bank, solubility, which column does that go in? State, reactivity, shape, does not change the matter's property and does change the matter's property. The one that didn't get copied correctly, that isn't up here, that is going to be an option for you, is flammability. So you need to, right up in the top up here where I'm writing this, you need to write flammability, as that is also a choice for your boxes. So now we need to figure out which of these are filled with which of these. Press pause to do this, press play to begin again. All right, so hopefully yours looks something like this. For sure we need to know that chemical changes do make a new substance. For sure we need to know the chemical properties are reactivity and flammability, although you could have them in either order. And for sure we need to know that physical changes do not make a new substance. And that is because our physical properties of shape, state, and solubility. And these three could be in any order. If yours are not in the correct boxes, again, these two could be switched. These three can be in an order. Please press pause to fix any mistakes and press play when you are ready to begin again. All right, so now we need to look and figure out, based on what we saw yesterday, did I see any new matter or not? And so is that a chemical or a physical change? And then which property did I see? So let's look at this one. First off, if each change observed was a physical change, a P, or a chemical change, a C, that's the first thing that we need to write down. Was it new matter, or was it the same matter, just looks different? So for instance, let's do baking powder mixed with water. I can see that I have 2 boxes that are filled in for that. I'm going to put a quick little blue thing over them just so you can see them better. Okay, these 2 boxes get filled in about baking powder mixed with water. The first box right here tells me that I need to put a P or a C for a physical change or a chemical change. And then I need to match it to which physical or chemical property I saw. So if I saw bubbles, gas is a new thing, that would be C, chemical change. And because it's bubbling, that's a reaction, so my chemical property would be reactivity. Let's say I saw it dissolve. That's a physical change, so I would put a P here. And I know that if it dissolves, my physical property would be solubility. So this tree map is going to help us. If I did make new substances, I only have 2 choices for which property, flammability and reactivity. And really, as a hint, you didn't light anything on fire. So you don't even have flammability. So you know for sure if you saw a new substance like a new color or bubbles, it's going to be reactivity. I also know if I made no new matter, I got a physical change, I only have 3 choices: shape, state, and solubility. And realistically, Shape's not really going to be applicable here because I can't see my powder on the powder level change shape. I'm really going to see it change state because the liquid I put in is going to become a pasty solid, or I'm going to see it dissolve. So we're even kind of narrowing down our choices even more. So for example, and again, I don't know if these are correct or not, I'm just throwing in random things, but they match. Maybe I know that sugar just dissolves, which is solubility, so it's a physical change. Maybe I know baking soda with vinegar is going to bubble, so that's C, chemical change, yep, reactivity. Maybe I know cornstarch mixed with iodine is going to change colors, so that would be C, reactivity then. So you need to look at your data table from yesterday, look at what happened, new color, bubbles, makes a paste, dissolves, and then go in and fill out this data table. Physical or chemical change. If it's chemical change, you really only saw reactivity. If it's a physical change, it should be either solubility or state. Press pause and fill this in. Yes, you can work with your group. Press play when you are done. All right, so you should have this whole table filled out, and sometimes it's hard, but that's okay because we can talk about it more tomorrow if you have questions. Let's go to our conclusion questions. So now we need to say, which physical properties did you observe during this lab? Again, that's my bad on the question. It should also say chemical properties. I gave you both for your answer. So you look back at your data, your analysis, and you say, which were, anywhere I wrote a P, what physical properties did I see? And you would write those on the physical line. If there's more than one, you write more than one. You look at what you filled in for your chemical properties, and you would fill that in on the chemical property line. Then we need to describe what you observed that led you to know the physical and chemical properties were present in the lab. So if you said you saw solubility, why? So we all know solubility is dissolving. So I could say I observed dissolving. That told me solubility property was present in this lab. I know it's not great grammar, but we're going to go with it. I observed bubbles. That told me the reactivity property was present in this lab. Okay, see how many of these you can fill out. You may or may not need all 4. Then you're going to look back at your hypothesis section and you're going to tell me of the 12 combinations, how many did you get correct? Did you get incorrect? That should not have a space there. So it's just a number. So maybe I look back at this on the front side and I noticed I said baking powder and water is going to make a physical change. But yet, when I filled out my data analysis, I said baking powder plus water gave me a chemical change. Then I know that's 1 incorrect. So I go through and I fill out all of those and I give myself maybe a 7 out of 12 was correct and then a 5 out of 12 was incorrect. They got to match up to 12 either way. Then we're all talking about our environment, right, for our anchor project. So we need to hypothesize what would happen if you changed one of these environmental factors for this exact same lab. So maybe you are going to change the temperature of the liquids before or after mixing, make them hotter or colder. Maybe you're going to increase or decrease the pressure of the mixture. So you've already mixed and you're going to squeeze it or you're going to stretch it. What do you think would happen? So if I change the temperature of the liquid before mixing, then what will you see? If I change the temperature of the liquid after mixing, then what would you see? If I increase the pressure after mixing, then what would you see? Or if I decrease the pressure after mixing, what would you see? Press pause and fill out these conclusion questions and press play to begin again. All right, so hopefully you have something like this, right? that we saw state and solubility for our physical changes, that we saw reactivity for our chemical changes. We know that we saw dissolving, which told me solubility. We saw bubbles, which told me reactivity. We saw color change, which told me reactivity. And maybe we saw things turning more solid that told me the states property. Again, whatever numbers you got correct or incorrect, but they should total 12. 5 plus 7 for me equals 12. And if I tried white before your eyes again, but changed the temperature of the liquids, then you could also have the sentence that I spoke out loud in the example prior to this, before I had them written down. Again, we'll go over this tomorrow more in class, but these are very similar or sometimes exactly what you need to have. All right, scientists, I hope you had fun with this lab, and we can talk more if you have questions tomorrow. See you then.